Hello, Kathy. How are you?
Hi, good, Jen. Great to see you.
Always good to see you too. And so we are here to discuss your book. But before I say that, I'll just remind people because my name is nowhere on the screen, but I am Jen Grace and I'm the founder and CEO of Publish Your Purpose. And you are Cathi Nelson, the author of Photo Organizing Made Easy. And I know you have a prop if you like to hold
Oh,
up
the book.
your book. Yes. So it looks so good.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So before we get into, because there's a bunch of things that I would love to talk to you about, but before we get into any of them, can we just kind of set the high level, like who you are and, a little bit about the book?
Yes, so I'm Cathi Nelson. I'm the CEO and founder of the Photo Managers, which is an international organization that supports small business owners who offer the photo organizing services that a lot of people want to start out doing themselves. How do I organize my digital photos, my printed photos, scanning, converting home movies, and things like that? I support that organization. And at the same time, I also do a lot of writing and speaking on how to actually get your photos organized, not because you love to organize, but because photos tell a story. And we really stress the importance of curating your photo collection so that you can tell a story that matters.
That's so good. I love that you have like such a good elevator pitch down. Like I wouldn't even have called it that, but that was very succinct. I love it. What originally prompted you to write this?
Gosh. So the first edition feels like a long time ago now, but I think just knowing that I was writing a lot of different blogs about this and the just the high level of interest, and that there wasn't anything really a book written about how to get your photos organized. And I just that meeting Jen and getting to know you and knowing that that was a possibility, right? So I was an author, I never thought I would be an author. I didn't know that I had anything of value to tell anybody. But as I learned through the process that this was, and the book has sold very, very well. I've gotten letters from people all over the world over the years thanking me for helping them with their photos. It's really rewarding. And so that's kind of probably was getting to know you and going through your process, helping me actually believe that I could actually do something. I could actually publish a book.
Yeah. And as you were saying that, it occurs to me in this very moment that you were one of the first people in the first beta group that I ran before PYP even existed. So that goes back to 2015. So you were like one of the first.
I know. I was one of your first in your group coaching that you did. I mean, it was different now. And I think, what did you call it? It wasn't PYP. It was, had a different name.
No, it was the Purpose Driven Authors Academy back then.
That's right. And then I thought I did my little program with you and I said, I'm going to do this on my own. And off I went. And I think called you a year later and said, Jen, this is not happening. I need you to, this is not going to work. I'm not getting it done. Can you take me through the whole process? And you said, yes. And there we are.
I know. And here we are. 6 years later and in your second edition. So that's what I wanted to ask you about, because 'tis the season, it seems to be, for second editions of books. And I know for you in particular, there was a really strategic reason why you wanted to release a second edition of your book. So can we just kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So because technology changes so rapidly, I knew that the digital photo organizing piece that I had written in the first edition it's still relevant information, but was getting dated and we needed to update that information. And also I knew that when I wrote this book, I was still organizing a lot of people. I myself was a professional photo organizer offering my services to clients. So I was able to build on a lot of my expertise of the work that I had done. But in the past 5-6 years, I've moved away from that and spent all of my time supporting this growing community of people, and that I was no longer the right person to write the digital photo organizing piece. So I asked one of my, Jordan Babion, who is the co-author with me on those 2 chapters. And I have a great story about, we joke, we come from 2 different generations. So she wrote those 2 chapters. And I knew that by releasing this with that information, it would really give people what they needed to take that second step with the digital. Because it's almost like 2 different worlds. There's analog, printed, hands-on photo organizing, and then there's this whole crazy part that now that this is the point and shoot camera that we all carry around with us all the time, that was really important to help people manage both processes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting that there's such a like a difference with generations, right? And so Jordan being kind of that go-to person. And I think what I appreciate is the fact that you were like, listen, the digital side, someone else should be the one that writes it. Because I feel like from an author standpoint, that can be, sometimes authors are very protective of it being them and them alone. And so you decided to kind of go out and get somebody else. Did that feel like a very kind of easy and seamless thing to do?
I think once I knew, I think it was weighing on me that it would be me, and the thought of how, of me like kind of relearning this whole process and writing about it in a way that was understandable felt overwhelming. And then when I talked to Jordan one day, I remember standing out in a parking lot with her and her saying, the average family now has the same number of digital assets than a small business did 2 years ago, and they just don't know it. And so she runs an organization where they manage, hundreds of clients. And so she got into it. She's 20 years younger than me. So she's in her late 30s, early 40s, and comes out of a tech background. She worked in software as a solution for businesses. So when she discovered the photo managers and joined my organization, she realized that there's this huge growing need that people don't realize yet for software as a solution consulting for consumers, for families. And so she became a mom of twins, and based on her worry about the photos that she was taking of her children and how would they ever access those into the future is what got her invested in this. And then she really spent a lot of time documenting the right processes to make this really efficient, because anybody listening, if you're thinking about getting the book, she talks about, are your photo, you have, I don't know, Jen, where are your photos? Are they in Google Photos, Amazon? Are they in
All of the above. They're
all
mostly
the
in
Dropbox?
Dropbox and Google. Yeah.
Right. So that's what makes it more complicated, right? So you have to be able to talk to people about how do you get them out of each of these different places. And so she really had come up with this, has a system that works, and that's why I wanted her to be the author of those chapters.
That's so good. And when we first met, which was before you were part of, like, you were one of the guinea pigs in the very beginning, but like we had known each other before then. But I just remember being so intrigued by the fact that you could pay somebody to like professionally organize your photos, because it never even crossed my mind. And now I recommend photo organizing to people on like a weekly basis at this point, because I did hire somebody and it was the best investment that I made, to just get somebody to consolidate all of the things and scan everything and have it in that digital form. And it just
Right.
seemed like it was so valuable. My next foray is 100% going into the digital, because I was actually looking for a picture last night and I was in Dropbox in a folder from 2001 of digital photos, where then I was really, really organized. So it'll say like what month and like a couple keywords. But then like you get to like 2016 to current day, they're all just like dumped in a folder,
Yeah.
which is wildly unhelpful. So I
Yeah.
love that, this because you started by saying that this is kind of like the DIY, right? So this book in particular is for someone who wants to figure out how to organize their photos, both physical and digital, without having to pay an expert. However, there are plenty of experts that exist that are amazing people that could certainly support that if they wanted.
Right. But we take you through the whole process. And the first part we talk about is the getting started, which is you need to have a goal. Like, what's your purpose of doing this? You need to know your why, because a lot of people think, oh, this is like a weekend project, or, it's a someday I'll get to. But when you really connect with the why, which to me is the key, I think the opening, we kept the same quote: after nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the things we need most in the world, by Philip Pullman. And that is the key here, right? It's why do we take photos? I love to get people to ask that question. And I believe we take photos to tell stories, and we are a people of stories, right? We live as human beings through storytelling, and we love to reminisce and capture moments. Why do you want to capture those the first day of school, or here comes Halloween, right? Next week is going to be, or this week will be, you want those pictures of your kids in those costumes, and you want to remember that. Some people love Halloween. Jen, I know we have seen pictures on Facebook. You do a lot of really fun things with skeletons and things like that. Well, why? And that's part of those photos. Cameron will want to see those photos, maybe when he's 40 and he's a dad and he's got kids and they're putting skeletons in their yard. Oh, well, I did this with my mom, so that's the story piece that's so important around this. And so we weave that throughout this whole book, and help you stay connected to the reason why you're doing it. And then we break it down into manageable steps, like bite-sized pieces, so that you can do it step by step by step.
That's so good. And and what's interesting is that I am looking forward to actually reading the whole digital section of this, because I think this is going to be a winter project for myself to like let me start to at least try to make sense of this, because honestly right now, and I'm sure this is for most people, when you're looking for that particular photo, you're probably going to your social media to find it there, because that's probably like that's where like the the ones that you're willing to show other people live, is that it's on
Yeah.
social media. But like we all have probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of photos that are probably just equal, but you just didn't post them anywhere. So
Right.
there's so
And the
much,
other
so
the
much to
other thing
this.
that we did, hey, I'm just going to grab my computer. I'm standing at a stand-up desk. I'll be right back. I just
Oh my god, I love it. I love it. So anyone who's watching live, Kathy's having a power failure.
my
Oh,
computer
she's back.
unplugged and I realize I've got a red, that I don't want to like my computer to kick out right in the middle of it.
I love
Whoops.
it. This is the
Okay.
joy of live videos, though, right? Like
I
this
know,
is
right? It's the real
this is
thing.
how
So
life works.
Jen also has a stand-up desk that she got. I love my stand-up desk.
I
So
do.
what we did differently this time though, was we moved the digital photo organizing to the front of the book, because if you're working with your printed photos and old printed photos, we're going to recommend that you digitize them, you scan them. A key point I'll tell you right now for anybody listening, like a key photo organizing tip, is you don't want to scan every printed photo you ever took. You should curate that collection beforehand, because you're just going to end up with the same mess digitally that you had printed, and you don't really need poorly composed photos or lots of scenery shots. And this, I always joke, like the sun's going to hopefully rise and set each day and the trees will change every year, and it's really fun. I do the same thing. I have pictures of this fall, beautiful blue sky with that pop of yellow. I mean, it's amazing, right? But I've deleted them already after a few days after I took them, because really they're just clogging up my photo collection, and they're really not that relevant, ideally, because hopefully next year we'll take beautiful fall pictures. But so we moved the digital part first, so that you realize what to do with all those, like you had all those photos scanned, your printed photos scanned. Well, you need to organize, can you find them? Do you know where they are? I mean, that's kind of that's part of the process too, that we now take people through.
Yeah, that actually can find, because the person who did it organized it so well that it's just its own little folder. But then,
Good. Yeah.
all the
They should
rest,
have
like
done that.
I break things down by months. So it'll be like September 2021.
Yeah, we recommend
Who
that.
knows what happened in September
Right.
2021?
And you need that's called metadata. So those are, like you mentioned, adding those tags, right? You want to make sure you have a consistent naming convention of tags so that you can find things.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
fun lately though, more and more, most people know this probably, but with your photos, like if recently I was looking for a picture, somebody wanted to see a picture of my dogs. I do know now that, if you go into photos and you just search dogs, every picture of dogs will show up. I mean, the AI, the artificial intelligence on some of these things has gotten really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Or what was I looking for too? Like a trip, I think Peru, I had gone to, I put in Peru, and sure enough, every picture I had taken in Peru suddenly appeared. So those are there's lots of things that technology is doing that people don't realize.
I did not realize that, because I just typed in skeletons and 19 photos came up.
Probably, how many years back do you have pictures of skeletons? It might be not just this year.
These are all just current skeletons.
Okay,
But
all right.
that's so interesting. Oh, see, I already learned something. I feel like, so at PYP, we publish a lot of books that are very niche and narrow. There's a lot of leadership and self-help and diversity, equity, inclusion. Your book in particular is one of a few books that we have that have such a universal and broad appeal to people.
Right.
So I'm excited that we're having this conversation about your second edition, because it's such a good resource and a good book. And your whole organization is obviously a good resource as well. So is there anything that you want to share while we have a captive audience of people paying attention to our conversation that, is helpful to you, to them, any of the above?
Another thing we do in the book is I have Cathis Pick. So at the end of every chapter, we recommend companies, right? So I have the privilege of working with lots of different companies in the space. Everything from, what company do you recommend to convert my home movies, right? Most people are going to, when you go through this process, we call it the hunt and gather stage. Usually your old little camcorder videos or your VCR tapes, maybe your kids' artwork, letters, maybe you save pot holders your grandmother made. I mean, there's so much more than just photos around this, and we talk about that. It's the things that you care most about. So we recommend the different companies, and we have some of them offer different discounts and things. So that's, I think, a real help for people in the back of the book that we've included. we also have, you can go to our website and download downloadable forms. So for instance, a great way when you're getting ready to start organizing is to create a family timeline, so that when you start pulling out those pictures and you can't remember what grade, what year if Bobby was born in 1983, he was in 5th grade in 19, you're going to get so we have a lot of cheat sheets that you can download that we've included in the book to help you through the process. So that's kind of fun to know that that there's lots of ways that we've included things to help you along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, because it really is a practical, there's very much a how-to component to this, which again is not necessarily common in terms of the types of books that we typically publish. And that's why I love this one so much and why I do recommend it so frequently.
It's more like a guidebook, right? It's not a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book that you'll take out. You won't just sit and read it probably. We'll take you, we do a lot of step by step. Okay, step 1 is do this. Step 2 is, here, let's get started in terms of the digital. We say step 1, where are all my photos and videos? And we're going to tell you how to find them. We give you a whole list of where they Jen, you just said a few things, but we know SD cards, flash drives, external hard drives, right? You can start now. Step 2, what do you do? First thing, you want to back everything up. So we take you through it step by step, so you can put the book down, pick it back up. So it is different from a lot of the books that you have done in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Which makes it fantastic though. And I'm so happy that there is the second edition now. So, I was also going to say, I know we're in October as we're recording this, but in the future, you do have Save Your Photos Month as well. So yes. Do you want to just kind of briefly talk about that? I know we're 11 months ahead of time, but I think it's important.
It is. It's been amazing. You can go to our website too, thephotomanagers.com, and then look for Save Your Photos Month and sign up for next. So every year in September, we designate that as Save Your Photos Month, and we offer a series of free, the professional photo organizers will do a series of what we call mini classes now, because most of us have a pretty short time, attention span. So they're short 10 to 15 minute classes on everything from how to deal with duplicate photos, or how to make baby albums, so we have all different topics that are free. We have weekly live presentations and live conversations with people. And it's really all around the importance of saving your photos. It got started around disaster relief when Hurricane Sandy and a lot of tornadoes and things, who knew? Now with climate change, it's only getting worse, right? And one of the things that are most at risk are people's physical collection of things, but also their digital collections if they haven't backed up correctly. So it's really a public service campaign throughout the entire month of September.
Oh, I love that so much. And I did. What's that?
I would say we have a really active Facebook page. So it's called Advice from the Photo Organizing Pros. We have over 5,000 members now. So the professional photo organizers will answer people's questions in real time every day. And people, ask lots of questions, and that's grown as a lot of people have taken those Save Your Photos Month classes. Then they can continue the conversation and have access to people who can give them help them if they're stuck. And so it's been very popular.
Oh, that's so perfect. Yeah. It's so great to have a resource for people to go to actually get questions answered, which they can read the book.
It's a no sales, and the key that we take people up. So there's no selling allowed. And so you're not entering a place where you're going to be, sold anything. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good safe space for that. Cause that feels icky when you're in a group and it's just all hard sales.
Right.
So good. Well, thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. This was fun. I did update the link at the bottom. So thephotomanagers.com, they can find you. They can also find you at cathynelson.com. Your book is available wherever people would like to purchase a book. Make sure that if you do go look for it, that you're clicking on the second edition, because sometimes the first edition might appear.
Yeah, so Amazon, that's frustrating. So if they do, it'll tell you that you can't order, that it's back ordered or something. So then if it says that, you're in the wrong edition. Make sure it doesn't say, I think 2017, make sure that it's has this little yellow, spot on it. That's the second edition as well.
Yep. So. Yep. So make sure you get the second edition, so you're getting all the good digital stuff that's included. Thank you. It's always fun talking to you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care, Jen.